As you can tell by the title of the video, I can't finish Zelda 2. I won't finish Zelda 2. So, Zelda 1, I made an entire video just basically spilling all my thoughts on why that game sucks. And unfortunately, Zelda 2 also sucks. And unfortunately, the infinite health and infinite lives cheat codes don't work. So I can't cheat my way through the game. Meaning I have to actually play it legitimately. Now this is 1987 gameplay, meaning that it is very difficult and the gameplay in and of itself is also very archaic. So unlike the first Zelda game, this is a side scroller uh and there's like a random so you have like the overworld, right? There's the overworld, and then as you're like walking through the overworld, you'll like have these like random Pokemon encounters, and you'll like fight enemies while you try to either go to the left or right side of the screen. So it's kind of weird, but okay. And then you like go through like these caves, and then you go through like the palaces, which are the actual levels. eh, I don't know, that whole thing is kind of weird. There's also like these villages where like there's like a whole three NPCs that are copy and pasted. So yeah. Uh, so so I guess let's talk about the combat first. Combat's really bad because you can't like attack enemies unless you're like up in their face, and I mean this literally. If you're like more than a pixel away from the enemy, you can't hit them because your sword, the sword is shorter than my fingers. That is how short the sword is. It's trash. The shield in this game also sucks because you have to be completely standing still for it to work, which it sucks. And when you're fighting the enemy, you're not going to be standing still. Like that's not how that works. That's just not. So that's trash. Also, an enemy that I hate a lot is a knight. It's a knight, which is crazy because the knights in the first game also sucked. The knights in this game also suck. So basically, the knight has a shield and you have to hit the part that's exposed, but he keeps like raising his shield like up and down every 3 milliseconds. So you're just basically spamming jump and spamming attack and praying that you'll actually hit him. So that enemy sucks. Something else that sucks as well is like there's like two different enemies that wield axes, and basically they're just doing this, and there's no such thing as ranged weapons in this game, by the way. So you have to like approach this guy as he's like doing this. He's coming at you with the axe, and you're having to like walk up to him to attack him because there's no such thing as ranged weapons. So you're just taking damage like that by just approaching him, which is a very cheap way for the player to take damage. And before like you tell me, oh well, you could like throw your sword if you're at max health. No, bro, no, you throw it like 3 pixels, and that's not even a joke either. Dude, that thing goes like legitimately, like actually like 10 pixels in front of you. It's like the range on throwing your sword is trash. It barely flies any distance at all. It's awful. So, yeah. Actually, now I think about it, the axe enemy that like throws the axes at you, he's not like unbeatable because you can actually like dodge the axe and then hit him and then dodge the axe and then hit him and do that. But the axe enemy that just he's like swinging it over his head, and he just kind of like does it in a circle. He just does this number. Dude, you will never like kill that enemy without taking damage. You will never come out of that battle without taking damage. It is stupid. It is dumb. I hate that enemy. Now, something that is also uh, very kind of bad about this game is it doesn't tell you where you're supposed to be going. Granted, not that you necessarily have a whole lot of options of where to go, but when I first started playing, when I first started playing, I didn't think I was supposed to go into the caves because I couldn't see. So I was like, okay, I'm probably not supposed to go into the caves. It turns out you're supposed to go into the caves despite the fact that you don't have the candle yet, which allows you to see in the caves. Granted, this one cave was only like 2 rooms long with a single enemy in it, so it wasn't that bad. But yeah, it's just it doesn't really tell you where to go because basically the gameplay or the loop in the order that you're supposed to do things in is you're supposed to like go to a town, you're supposed to find the old man, learn a thing from him, and then go to the temple. Of course, they don't tell you where the old man is in the town. You have to speak to every NPC that all looks the same to figure out which house he lives in. So that's cool. And then they like go on about like, hey, get the crystal and get the trophy. What crystal? What trophy? And then you like complete the level, and then they're like, oh, you got the crystal, you got the trophy. I never picked up a crystal or a trophy. Oh, well, you got it. You saved the trophy. What are you talking about? I picked up a glove. What do I? It's a glove. What do you mean? I picked up a candle. What do you mean that's a trophy? Anyways, so you speak to the correct NPC, they let you in the house, then you go into the basement, you speak to the old man, you learn an ability, then you go through the pain and suffering of going through a level, and yeah, that's basically that. Now, um, there is an ability that you can learn to be able to self-heal, which takes up magic, because there's like this magic system in the game. There's like 5, 6 bars of magic. And yeah, I assume as you progress, you would get more bars of magic. And after you do the second level, you unlock an ability to self-heal. But the problem with that is if you get stuck on an enemy and you need to heal and you're on like 1 health, and then you go back to a previous room, kill the enemies, and they don't drop any magic, or they drop magic, but you don't have 4 bars of magic to heal. If you leave the room and come back, the enemies don't respawn, so you can't like farm magic, which is really unfortunate. That really sucks. That pretty much means you're going to die, unfortunately. Now speaking of the life system and the game over, I want to mention that so you get 3 lives in this game. Technically 4 because it's counting in extra lives. That's not really a whole lot of lives for how often you die in this game. And if you get game over, that is an awful feeling. It is terrible because if you get game over, you go all the way back to Zelda. Now, for those of you that don't know, there's like this little 1 room thing where Zelda is dead and her like body is like out on like a pedestal, and that's like where the game starts. And every time you get game over, that's where you start. That's the start of the game. Every time you get game over, you always go back to Zelda. That is so annoying because then if I get game over and I've walked a good distance and get game over, then I have to walk all the way back to where I was. I have to refight all of those enemies a second time. It's awful. It's really awful. Now, Grant, I know I mentioned the knight and that like 1 axe enemy that are awful, but I, it just seems to be that like trying to like avoid from taking damage is just impossible with the fact that you have to be so close to the enemies to actually be able to hit them. On top of the fact that something I've noticed as well is if you're changing like like elevation, you're jumping off like a single block, you jump from here to here, right? And the enemy is the enemy is like right here. Like imagine that this is like this is the block. This is like imagine that this is the lower block, this is the higher block. The enemy is right in between there. The enemy is right in between there. You're going to get hit because it follows you. The enemies follow you, obviously, but even if they can't like reach you, they kind of just like walk into a wall, and then like when you try to jump down, they hit you. It's very annoying. There's a lot of situations where that happened, particularly in this like cave area that I was going through, and it really sucked. So, yeah. And basically, what I was mentioning about having to be so close to the enemies to be able to like hit them. Another enemy could just gang up on you while you're like attacking the slime, right? Then you get like an axe guy that starts like coming in. He's like, "I'm coming for you," and then he like comes at you and you die because you can't like not take damage from him. It sucks. It really sucks. And like I said, there's no ranged weapons. You only have your sword. You like actually like literally only have your sword. You have nothing else. And something I've noticed as well is that the jump ability, because I know it's probably something's gonna be like, oh, well, just jump over the enemy. You can't really jump over the enemy because typically the ceiling is so low that trying to jump over the enemy is not going to work. And I've tried like a damage boosting past the enemies, a lot of the time that doesn't work because every time you get hit, you get knocked back. It's so dumb. So you won't even end up running past the enemy. You like run towards them, get hit, and then you kind of like get knocked back. And then by the time your iframes are done, you'll get hit again because you're still like on top of him. You're still on top of the enemy. Your pixels are still overlapping the enemy, so you'll end up getting hit again. So you can't damage boost past enemies in this game, which is unfortunate because that would have been a strat that I would have loved to have worked, but it didn't work. So that's sad. Now, I only did 2 levels. I was trying to get to the third level, but what really broke me was that I was making like save states, right? As I was like progressing through. That way, if I died, I could just load the save state instead of having to like walk all the way back from Zelda. There was a time where I accidentally saved my save state on the death screen, where you got like the options of continue or save. I accidentally overrode my good save state to that screen, and I was like, bro, I've been at this for like 20 minutes. I haven't gotten past this area to actually get to the third level. I'm done. So yeah, it was really last night was very miserable. It was actually probably more miserable than the night before that. Although I had my friend Logan on last night, so that made it slightly less miserable. Although by like the 3 hour mark, it seemed like he was also miserable from how miserable I was and how awful the game itself is. So yeah, the whole game is very archaic, as I'm sure you could tell. It's very archaic, and yeah, I've just decided I'm not going to finish it. I won't finish it. I would have maybe tried to push through it if like the infinite lives or the infinite health cheat codes worked, but they didn't. Infinite magic didn't work either, so I couldn't just keep like self-healing. That didn't work either, so I don't know what it is with Dolphin and the cheat codes not working. I know that you're supposed to restart Dolphin after you enable cheat codes so that they'll actually work, but they still didn't work. So that's unfortunate. But bottom line is, I'm not finishing Zelda 2. I can't finish Zelda 2. I won't finish Zelda 2. I'm not going to finish Zelda 2. And I'm going to drop the playthrough and move on to A Link to the Past, which is the third Zelda game. Now, hopefully, hopefully, every Zelda game after this will be like good. Hopefully. Granted, I still have my suspicions about Spirit Tracks, Phantom Hourglass, Skyward Sword, and Oracle of Seasons and Oracle of Ages, but at least those games should be doable. Like every game going forwards now should be like I should be able to beat it. I shouldn't have a problem with the difficulty, and I'm pretty sure going forward the Zelda games will actually be puzzle games and not some like archaic combat. So, yeah, hopefully. And also, I'm taking tonight off because I can't stay up all night. Or more specifically, I'm taking tonight off from streaming. I know I said I was going to start a Link to the Past tonight, but I can't do that because I have to get up. So we'll start it tomorrow night. And hopefully, it will just be uphill from here. So yeah, that's about it. See ya.